guys. What?
It looked like Richard went down kind of hard early in practice and didn't come back. Is that just a precaution with him?
Yeah, I didn't see him fall, but yeah, they told me out there his hammy got tied on him, so they took him out, and we'll see after I talk to Ferg.
No Josh Garnett again today. What's the concern level like for you guys right now with him?
I mean, there is concern. You know, Josh, he doesn't feel right, and you know, so that's always worrisome when a player doesn't feel right. You know, I know Josh is getting a few second opinions, so we're waiting until our doctors talk with other people, and we'll see what conclusion they come to.
Go ahead.
Is it the same knee as last summer?
Yes.
So it sounds like it's a little more than just a contusion than if he's getting second opinions then.
Yeah, I don't know. That's depends who you talk to, and that's what we're trying to find out, and that's what he's trying to find out. You know, Josh went through a lot last year with his knee, and took his season off treating it right. You know, he got himself ready to play and came in here, had good OTAs, had a couple good practices, and then he hit his knee, and you know, it's worried him, and I understand that. You know, but he doesn't feel right, and we're trying to figure out what it is, and hopefully we will.
You stopped practice early on and brought the team together. Could you just explain what you were seeing and what the message was there?
I just wanted guys to lock in more. You know, we got a day off tomorrow. You know, this is our 4th day in a row, so that's usually your toughest day. I had to cut a little bit short yesterday just because we were losing some guys, and guys were tightening up, and I just made a decision to cut the last 2-minute period yesterday, and I just told them early on I wasn't going to do that today. So we had to lock in, we had to tough through this, and I didn't want to waste a day. And the guys were working, but I want people mindful in everything they do and not going through the motions, so we're getting better out there, not just getting tired.
Did you notice the offense in particular be a little more sharp, particularly with pre-snap stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't just pre-snaps. It was, you know, missed reads, you know, guys going the wrong way, some bust, you know, even coaches too. Coaches getting off script, having the wrong personnel in there, things like that. So it wasn't just the players, it was everyone. And pretty typical this time of camp, and sometimes you just need to wake people up before you waste a whole practice and come in and watch the film and realize you should have done that earlier.
Cassius Marsh pull his groin.
What's that?
Cassius Marsh, did he pull his groin?
I don't think he pulled it. I think it's very similar to the other guys. Same thing with Itachi today. That's why he didn't practice. But guys are tight, and they're all tight, and they're trying to tough through it. And Cassius went into practice like that, and then he felt it got a little tighter. I want to say towards the 3rd period, so we pulled him out.
Playing DJ Reed with the ones, does that speak to him having a good camp and the impression he's made?
Yes. I mean, it's, you know, we have guys out, guys changing, guys that tighten up certain periods. So I don't look into too much of that. I didn't know that for sure until you said it. So it's not like we go in there like, hey, DJ's can go with the ones today. It's just there's reps, people going out, but on top of that, he has deserved it too. You know, he has played very well, and he's been making some plays out there.
Richie James was playing with the starters in the last move of the ball period. What do you like about him so far?
You know, I like all our group. All our guys have been playing hard. Richie's been doing a good job. Same thing with him as what on the question just about DJ. You know, we had Pettis in practice today. Had a couple guys tightening up too. So we're trying to mix it up. We threw him in the slot today. We'll throw someone else in another day. But you know, he's a tough player. He can separate, and he's done a good job. We're gonna have some good competition there.
Why did you give Pettis the day off? I saw his recovery.
Tight groin. You know, it was tight on him yesterday. Tightened up on him even more in walkthrough, and came in this morning with it even tighter. And when it's usually like that, you want to stop it before he pulls it.
Kyle, have you ever heard the players use a slogan, overcome coaching?
Yeah, it's my line. Yeah. So I hope so. If not, they don't listen to me. So.
Can you explain what overcome coaching means?
It's a nice way of trying to tell a player, don't be a robot. You know, Coach, that's what you told me to do. Well, yeah, I drew it on paper versus cover 3, and you got cover 2. Like, it's not the exact same. You gotta do this. Sometimes you gotta overcome coaching. I apologize for not calling it versus the right coverage. But when you don't, now you got to overcome my mistake or that I'm not as good as you. So please help us out. It's just a nicer way to me of saying, hey, don't be a robot and try to be a football player. And that's huge. I mean, that's what guys do. I mean, man coverage, you have certain routes and certain depths because, I mean, you better get to 10 yards and break to like a 20-yard depth on the hash to get over certain zoning linebackers. And that's what it's drawn for on paper. What happens when you get bump coverage? There's no underneath linebackers, and the guy's jamming the heck out of you. Well, there's a timing element. You better not get all the way to 10 and then break to 20. We're going to get sacked. It's taking a lot longer. Break that off sooner. You have to know the timing of when we're trying to get rid of the ball. And now it isn't an issue. There are no zoning linebackers, so that's not a problem. But then you go do that versus zone the next play, and you're running under linebackers instead of over the top of them. So things change, and you have to be able to, in order to play in the NFL, you can't be a robot. You do have to overcome coaching sometimes.
This year, are you seeing more guys overcoming coaching because they're more familiar with the system?
Yes, I mean, I think that comes with reps, and it's very rare that you install a play and you do it, especially for a young guy. They're going to try to do it exactly how you want, and that is what you want. And then you usually get a different look. And they did exactly what you want, and you try to coach them on the field, and you come in and say, all right, I know what I told you, but I was telling you to do this versus inside leverage. Now you got outside leverage. What can we do differently? And then they learn from that. And I mean, there's 15 different ways you can run a slant route. But on paper, it says run dead straight to 5 and break in at a 45-degree angle. What are you going to do versus cloud? What are you going to do versus quarters? What are you going to do versus man? What are you going to do versus 3 deep? And that's stuff you coach. But players have to have a feel, too. That's why you want smart guys and also guys that the game comes a little natural to.
When did you first start saying that?
I forget. I think I've said it for a long time. It's probably all the way back to when I was in Houston.
Having the officials here this week help alleviate concerns about the lowering the helmet rule?
Not really. I think everyone's just waiting to see how it is. It's it's not them. They show the clips that the NFL tells them to show. They're going to try to call it exactly how the NFL articulates it in their written book. But I think also, just like what I said about players, sometimes you have to overcome written words. It is a game, and you can't always go with exactly how it's written, it's tough. You got to feel it out. I mean, you can sometimes if you get too detailed in the language, there might be 100 penalties. And I know that's not what anybody wants. I also know that nobody wants people getting hurt and people putting themselves in risky positions. So there's a fine line to it. If you take it so literally, it'll scare everyone because it'll be hard to play football if you take it that literally. That's why I think everyone's it's a wait and see approach, and we'll figure it out as it goes.
There were a couple of plays today that seemed like they could have been called under the wording. I mean, they're not out there telling you or the players, hey, that might get that called in a game situation. I mean, nothing happening in practices that was.
No, they showed the ones in practices, and most of them are pretty obvious. But you also see some clips that they show that I can almost find that on every play if I get the remote in my hand and look hard enough. It's going to be a huge challenge for the refs. It's going to be a huge challenge for the players. It's going to be a huge challenge for the coaches, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think that could lead to offenses being more aggressive and targeting the middle of the field and maybe, thinking that those opportunities are out there maybe to get flags?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to make it very tough to play zone defenses. If there's a window and you throw that, and how can the guys stop it? I mean, if you get your feet under and you can really do it the right way, it's just hard, those bang-bang plays, and that is an advantage for the offense. It's very hard for guys to stop it. You either got to intercept it or break down and let them catch it, then try to hit it out. And, yeah, that is tough for guys.
How often does stuff look worse in real time than it maybe actually is?
I think it can go both ways. I mean, it's a violent game. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's why it's not for everyone. And I think that's also why America loves it too. So there's a fine line to it. The more educated everyone gets in these last 10 years and stuff, we do have a responsibility to do everything we can to fix that stuff. But there's always going to be some risk to all sports, not just football.
You counted 13 guys are currently on the roster who were on the roster when you took over this team. Does that seem like a low number to you? Is that a surprising number to you, or is it just natural the way this thing works?
I know that's a lot, but that's probably what I would have anticipated before we got here. When we had an idea of that, and we knew it was going to take some time, and I've been happy on what we've done in our 2-year span, and just getting guys, some of our later draft picks and stuff, some undrafted guys, some of our, our free agents. I'm glad these guys have come in and been able to help us do that, because you can't just turn over a roster until you have people to replace them with. So, yeah, you're always looking to upgrade, whatever it is, and we're still looking to do that. I hope that gets harder and harder for us each year.
McKinnon and Breida got stopped in the backfield a few times today. You have a few new faces in the offensive line. What do you see from that group in particular in terms of run blocking today?
I think our O-line I think we're getting better. I think we're better right now than we were last year at this time, without a doubt. You fight, depth's always an issue. Right now we have 3 guards not out there. We have Cooper, who hasn't been out yet. Obviously about what we said about Garnett, Flynn wasn't out there. So that's the NFL, and it's tough, and that's what you take guys into a year. You're gonna always try to find your best 5, and we will. But you got to have a lot of versatility, because you never know how that year is going to go. And usually you only have 8 guys on the roster. There's 5 positions. You dress 7 on game day. I've had years where you keep the same 5, and you have years where you have people starting at tackle that weren't even on your team in week 8. So hey, see how it goes.
What's the plan for Cooper as far as working him in and getting him in?
He's done more each day. We started out with individual, I want to say 4 days ago. He started taking some one-on-one reps these last 3 days, which has been good for him, just going against a guy and reacting. I'll go in there and watch his one-on-ones a few hours here. Tomorrow's an off day, and we'll communicate with him, Ferg, all the doctors, Ray, and we'll see where he's at after this off day.
Are you going to look at him as a right guard or a left guard?
What's that?
Is he right or left?
You got to play both, but we have an open competition right now. I know you guys like that word, but we got a competition for right guard. I think you guys know who our spots are at the other 4, and we don't know who that's going to be. And all those guys it's tough. That's why this league is hard. He's battling an injury. Garnett's battling an injury, which that's legit. But those guys got to play football to earn a spot, and you're pulling for all of them. But you can't play when you're hurt. I get that. So you hope they rehab their hardest. You hope that they get in a spot where they feel confident to get out there, because, that neither one of them, Josh hasn't played a lot of football. Coop hasn't played in our system before. I'd like those guys to have a chance to earn a starting position. But they're definitely open up a lot of opportunities for these other guys.
You've mentioned you've been happy with the way Weston has played, but obviously he's replacing a guy who was here for a while and a leader in that room. How has Weston ingratiated himself in that respect and taking a leadership role with the offensive line?
Just from me observing, I think it's been great. I think that'd be a better question maybe for the O-line room and stuff. But, I think, guys, everyone wants to wait till you see how guys can play first. And I think everyone saw in OTAs that he's a real good player. So usually when you see that, guys respect him right away. And just from what I've seen, I love how the guy carries himself. He's a worker. It seems like a good dude to me, and I would be surprised if he wasn't one of the guys and one of the leaders in the line room.
He seems to have struggled a little bit in one-on-ones. Is he working on new technique? Is it adjusting to the speed of the NFL?
Yeah, just battling. Those guys are going against each other every day. It's one-on-one, similar to corners too. That guy should beat you eventually. Hopefully, quarterback gets rid of the ball. Sometimes you have a halfback in there to chip them, things like that. But him and Marsh have been battling a lot. I think McGlinchey's getting better. I also think our D-line's getting better. So it's been a fun battle for all those guys.
You talked about Joe Williams at some length during the offseason. But just given the fact that the way he came into the NFL, John Lynch didn't have him on the draft board, concerns about how much he loved football. The fact that you said, looking at his first year in the NFL, he needs to play with more urgency. Were there times last year you wondered, did I make a mistake sticking my neck on the line for this guy?
Yeah, of course. You think that with everybody. Anytime, I do believe in Joe's ability and his talent, and that's why we wanted him here. But lots of guys have ability and talent in this league. It's hard, and it's not for everyone. And you don't fall into playing in the NFL. You got to be talented, and it's got to mean a lot to you. And I think it does to Joe, but I think I think it's taken him time to see the difference and the urgency that it takes to succeed at this level. And when you're talking about the running back position, that's a real position where if you're not locked in, if you hesitate at all, if you're not expecting to get drilled every single play, I know I wouldn't want to play running back. in the NFL or college or probably even high school. It's just different. So guys learn that, and Joe wasn't quite as ready last year, and that does make you wonder because you can't succeed if you don't have that mindset. But I've seen it this year, and I saw it in the way he worked. I thought he fixed his body, got a lot more muscle, got in better shape. But you really never know until you put the pads on, and because he showed it in OTAs, and we've had the pads on for a while now, and it's been what we've been hoping to see, and hopefully it'll continue over to games.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, guys.